The benefit of doing it without touch is if you're able to do it without touch, then with touch, it's a lot easier, right? Because one, the connection, the fascial connection, increased awareness will have a more dramatic effect. Okay, so now we'll move on to the seizing energy. Seizing energy is a difficult energy to work with, but if you get that one, all the other energies become easier. At the beginning, it will be challenging, but once you get it, it allows you to unpack all the other energies as well. So essentially, seizing energy is basically seizing someone's structure or seizing someone's force and seizing someone's mind, where they can't produce force in any direction. It all locks into one place. Usually what we do is we expand our mind out and we occupy more space. In this, what we're doing is the opposite, where we're contracting everything into a small space and ideally the core. So you want to bring everything that you feel in the structure and you start to condense it into the core. As you can see, she's basically like almost doing a crunch where I'm contracting her core. All the force that I can feel, I'm pulling it into her own core, which creates a seizing quality. And what this does is she tries to produce force, it gets stuck in the core. It doesn't leave her body and it seizes her structure. Again, you do the same thing with the energy itself. So here, if you notice, I'm not using my body mechanics much. I'm doing more through just the feeling, right? And then once you're able to really feel that, you use less and less of the body, where it's just my fingers touching her. So here you really have to use your mind a lot more, right? Because the body's not supporting it as much. And then you get it to a point where you don't have to touch. And again, this is based on increased awareness. The benefit of doing it without touch is if you're able to do it without touch, then with touch, it's a lot easier. Right? Because one, the connection, the fascial connection, increased awareness will have a more dramatic effect. So you do this with the structure, you do this with the force, and you do this with the mind as well. You seize the mind where she can't get her mind out. So basically, you're freezing her intent. Yeah? So she can't produce anything. So if she feels stuck. Essentially, a seizing energy is like a shock. When someone experiences shock, they can't think, they can't do anything. They just freeze, essentially. So you're recreating that energetically. And obviously, the person's not going to feel comfortable with this. Just monitor if they have health problems, any heart conditions and stuff. This is probably not an energy that you want to work with. With all of these energies, just make sure your partner's in good health condition and always discuss if they're feeling okay during the practice. Because you're working with energies and you don't know what's happening until you build that awareness. Yeah. So just make sure your training partner and yourself are in good health conditions, especially the heart and the brain when you're working with energy. Okay. So now we've worked with structure, we worked with force, and we worked with intent. Now we look at the application where we'd actually use this. So most of the times where you'd use this is when someone's not giving you structure, right? They're kind of jelly. Usually we need some sort of structure to work with, right? We need some sort of tension to work with. When there's no tension, we can create this tension ourselves by creating a seizing quality. Now I've got a structure, right? So I force the contraction in her muscles by, now I can issue. But if there's no tension and I'm trying to issue, we get very little effect. I need the energy to hit something, hit a tension, hit some sort of interaction. But if she's in a neutral position where she's withdrawn her mind and she's holding a center and she's not giving me any tension, then the energy's got nothing to conduct through. The energy needs a fascial tension, muscle tension for it to have an effect. So when they're in that sort of state, I create the tension myself, and then I can use magnetism, all the different energies in that case. So let's say, for example, if I wanted to use the Pung ward-off energy, and it's like, oh, it's very soft, it's not working because she's not giving me much structure. This is where I would this is where I create that freezing quality, everything freezes, and then I create the expanding ward off energy, and it's going to be more amplified. Again, everyone's going to respond differently. Because I know her well, she's also very sensitive. It's easy for me to demonstrate and teach these principles. But some people are going to be more challenging. This way, it's a problem or a puzzle that you have to solve. And once you solve it, it becomes easy as well. Once you find the access and to their energetic system by opening the three bodies, the three layers, and feeling the matrices, then it becomes more easy. Okay, so again, when someone's going jelly, I either seize the structure, seize the force, or seize the intent. Her core and her legs will always produce tension just for her to stand. So I go to that place and I produce the seizing energy. Now I've got something to work with. And this is where I can use all the different, so roll back or ward off, all these sort of things. So if you use seizing energy, all the other energies become a lot easier. I can do a lot of different energies from seizing, because once the energy's gone there, seize the structure, it allows me to create all the other energies. So this is why seizing energy and sticking energy is important. There are all these other energies are auxiliary to the eight energies, but those two I feel are important. So that's why I've included that in here. All the other energies complement the 8 energies, but essentially the 8 energies is what we want to work on. But ultimately, it's Tai Chi is the great polarity. So it's just 2 energies, which is form and formlessness, and that's where it all leads to, and that's what we'll cover next.